Hi there, I'm Aubrey Fillion and welcome to this tutorial to help you get started with SurveyMaker. In this tutorial we're going to cover the main screen layout and also how to calculate simple joins. So let's get started with the main screen caption. You'll see at the top of the screen we've got your version number. When you've got your dongle plugged in, it will display your dongle number for you. And then we've got constants, the active data set, and the main CAD scale. Now these three options are very important. It will tell you how the coordinates will be calculated, to which data set they'll be going, and then also it will influence the way that the CAD text is displayed on your screen depending on the scale that you've selected. If you drop down one level, we get to our project menu. Now the first step in SurveyMaker will always be to open a project or to create a new project. So if you open a project, the program will automatically load up all the CAD information, all the DTM information, all your printouts will be saved in that project. You've got specific settings that get saved to the project. So it's very important to make sure that you're working in a project, because then SurveyMaker can always, when you access that project again, it can open up all the settings, all the CAD and all the point information that you were working on in that project. Now once you've got your project loaded, we can go over to the data screen. In our data screen, it gives you the option to manipulate then the data that is loaded into this project. Now to get data in, if you go under your file menu, you'll see we've got a lot of file formats in here. The first few are standard MMS, MMB, ASCII files, YXZ files. Then we've got a couple of observation files that you can also use, import directly from instruments, and then a few specific functions that we wrote in there for specific situations. After you've brought in your information, you can then use the tools menu to manipulate the data, add constants, add certain codes, swap code and tag values. If you've got an observation file which is a network, you can do a network adjustment on it. So using the tools, you can also do a bit of data manipulation on this then and work with it. You'll see that the data is set out in a Excel type format where you've got a grid and you can scroll, you can select, copy and paste. So inside our coordinate data, you'll place all of your coordinate data, and then we've got what we call control points, and inside your control point we'll place all of the trig beacons, reference marks, all of the fixed control data which we want to use independently of our project that is open. Once we're done in here and we've got our data calculated, we go to the screen. It will display the data on the screen which is loaded for our current data set, and this will contain CAD data as well as points data. Now if we go to the next menu, you see we've got calculations in there. Now the calculation menu will give you access to all the calculations in the program. Our first section is CAD actions. Now CAD actions will give you the options to do some CAD housekeeping functions, to shift some of the CAD, apply font settings, to do some basic CAD cleanup work. The next section will be general, and there you will find all of the basic survey calcs which is included in module 1 of the program. Cadastral will give you another set of calculations, bit more specific towards cadastral work, to calculate earth width, to do data traverses, splay calculations, and also to do checks and cleanup for cadastral specific type of scenarios. The next module, our mining module, will give you the option to do surface as well as underground mining surveys, to calculate pegs and then to place them in a peg register where they will be saved. Transformations. Basic transformations in SurveyMaker include the Helmut, Goldfields, mean shift and datum. And with our datum function, you can also convert between UTM, the old Cape Clark Allo system, geographical coordinates, and you can take all of this into the project or export it out of the project in any one of these formats. The mean coordinate function is there to help you to reduce GPS data where you've got multiple readings for a single point. The mean coordinates will automatically pick up that data, mean it out to a single coordinate value, so that you have a reduced set of information then to start working with towards your final product. and then once again just a link to our network adjustment function if you've got any network adjustment information that needs to be calculated. Under the cadastral menu, this is part of module 2. You've got 3 functions, and this is the functions that we're going to use to calculate cadastral work with. So you'll be able to generate general plans, working plans, diagrams, and then also your sectional titles with this. This is specific to module 2, so only if you've got module 2 you'll be able to use these functions. And then we've got our printout function. Now for any result, any printout you need in the program, we'll go into this function. Printouts will open like this, and you'll see that under our report type you've got a list of all of the printouts we can do in SurveyMaker. So if I go to SG coordinate list, you'll see the program generate the SG coordinate list for me. And now you've got the option to do some editing in here. You can bold, italic, underline, and you can also go and you can then save this to a PDF. You can print it to a printer. You can save it to a text file, ASCII file, Word file. So you've got then the options in here to take this report data out into any other format that you might need. If we go to report type again, just to show you our calculation log. Now what this will do, it's going to give you a log of all the calculations that have been done in the program since we started this project. So at any stage you can go into the program and have a look at all the calculations that was done if you maybe missed something or want to do a complete printout of the whole job's calculations. So for any printout, any calculation, remember that printout section will give you that, and then under the options menu you've got options to set the fonts, set the margins, and how you want the headings to be printed. Play around with those to get the result that you require for your company. Then our tools menu. The tools menu gives you a few extra tools in SurveyMaker, and these tools is add-ons to the program. Now the text editor is a basic text editor similar to Notepad to allow you to open and close text files. We've got our level reduction, which is an extra module in SurveyMaker to do leveling work with. Our conversion tool function is just to indicate to you all of the conversion factors that we can do in SurveyMaker. So for example, if I say Cape Geodetic and I want to take it to meters, in the input value I'll say 53 Cape Geodetic feet, and it converts it to meters. So you can check the conversion factors here. If you just quickly want to do a conversion, you can use this tool without having to go into one of the complicated functions. Just do a simple conversion between certain factors. You'll see we've also got area, we've got angles, we've got mass, volumes, and also temperatures in here. And then the coordinate function is when you're entering single values to do coordinate conversions with. Back to the tools menu, we've also got a tool to upload data back to your sign workabouts, and then we've got our beacon search and Google Earth export function. Both of these functions are based on Google Earth, and they're designed to give you extra information regarding your survey, things like trigs, town survey marks, surrounding data information, pull in elevations from Google Earth, output your data to Google Earth. So these are very, very important functions, which we will then later on also cover in a video of their own. Under the settings menu, now this is important that you set up your program once you start using it. You'll only have to set it up once to make sure that the program knows the method you're using and also gives you the results you're expecting. So we've got configuration, your CAD and color settings in there, inline conversion for doing quick conversions in units of measure, and then our beacon and cadastral codes. Now the setup of the program will also be handled in a tutorial on YouTube, so you're welcome to go in there and have a look at how to set up your program when using SurveyMaker. If we go to help, first two options gives us options into our help file. So if you do need any refresher on what to do or how to use a program, please use our help file for that. And then we've got our version history log. Now this is important as this will give you an indication of all the changes and updates and bug fixes that's been made to the program. So you can have a look at this in each update, and we also recommend that once you update the program, you immediately open this and you'll see what's new in the program, what's been updated, and it will also give you an idea of new features in the program that you might find useful, updates to functions that you may have found limited, which now will cater better to your needs. So have a look at this version history log each time you've done your updates. Back to the help menu. MMS TeamViewer and the send to files to MMS support will help us when you've got a problem on your side. We'll interact with these tools on your computer to show you how to solve your problems, how to work with the programs. Security key info and about will give you general information about the program and your dongle, and then we've got a link to the Model Maker website. So you can check out our website regularly. We've got specials on there, we've got news on there, information, we've got our forum on there, and all of this you can use also as extra tools to gather information on the programs, to find out more about the programs, and then also to see what the other products in our range can do. Now if we go back down to the navigation menu, you'll see the first option in our navigation menu is the normal button, which will just zoom in and give you a full view of your current project. Then we've got our zoom in button, we've got our zoom out, the box zoom, and the shift. So all of these options has to do with navigating the screen and moving around in the CAD space. Then the next three options will display your DTM codes, it will display the tags, and it will display the elevations of the points for you. The following buttons, so DTM and the CAD button, if I click on the CAD button, it will switch off all of the CAD so that you only see your points on the screen. And then same, if I switch off DTM, it will only show you CAD information and hide all the points from the screen. So this you can use just to reduce the amount of information on the screen to make it easier to work with. Then the next section will be all of our snap modes. So we've placed them on a toolbar here to make them very easy accessible to you when you're working. We've got our freehand snap mode, we've got our DTM snap mode, text origin, our center of circle, our line endpoint, we've got our intersection snap mode, we've got a snap mode which will show you the meeting point of two lines which aren't intersecting at the moment, and we've got our closest line point intersection, perpendicular, and then any snap mode. And any snap mode will show you all of the snap modes at once as it's moving around over the plan. We've got our Google Earth function, just a link to the same Google Earth function we found under tools. And then we've got control points. Now the control points will just take all of the coordinates we've placed in our control point database and overlay it onto our survey, just to indicate where our survey is in relation to our control data. We've got ID elements. ID elements will give us manipulation functionality when we've ID'd certain elements that can be CAD work or DTM, and then we can say we want to copy that selection, delete it, move it, we're going to manipulate it, change font sizes, line sizes, and so on. So this is specifically for when you're IDing elements, a menu to work with that. Then we've got display. So the display gives you the option to switch on certain CAD layers and switch off certain ones, so that you can reduce and manage the amount of CAD information on your screen. And it also gives you the option to switch off DTM points according to their cadastral code. So we can switch off all the stations, all the found, all the placed, and we can switch off different types of points to then reduce the amount of information that we have on our screen. Now this third line, you'll see this first section has got to do with our lines. So this is the pen type we're drawing our lines in, the layer name, and then the pen width, and then the pen type for drawing lines with. And then the next section is our CAD text pen, the layer, the height and width of our CAD text, the origin of the CAD text, and then the font we're going to use for the CAD text. We've also got a function here where you can select a layer, and then by clicking on the delete button, it will delete that specific CAD layer for you quite easily and very quickly. Now if we move on to the left hand side of the screen, you'll see on the left hand side we've got all of our general calculation functions on here, and then you'll see at the bottom we've got that little double arrow there. If that icon is there, you know that there's still some functions left on that toolbar. So there you see all of those functions then, and that's all of our general calculations. If I move the toolbar up again, you'll see that the next section contains all of the cadastral calculations, and then right at the bottom I've got all of my transformations. The second row will give me access to all of my CAD line functions, and then all of the CAD text functions, and then all of my CAD circle functions. And then just once again, if I move this up, this will give you the option to add points. We can modify or delete points with this option, and then we've got an undo in there to undo the last CAD action that you've done, and then we've got go to DTM. Now go to DTM will give you the option to enter a point name, and the program will zoom in on that name and place your mouse cursor right over that point, so that you know where that point is in your survey. Especially when you're sitting with a very big survey, this can be a handy function to pick up specific points that you want to check out. Just press normal there and it brings back my picture into view. Now right at the bottom you'll see we've got graphics view and results. Now graphics view will give me this main screen that we have here, and then I've got my results which will show me my calculations as I'm running through the calculations. Just below that we've got our snap mode. So if I put it onto DTM snap mode and I snap to any DTM point, you'll see in the bottom left hand corner that the name of that specific point is shown, and then right next to the name you'll see the coordinate for that specific snap point shown. If I switch my snap mode to line endpoint, you'll see that it now shows I'm in line endpoint, and then it also gives me the coordinate for that line endpoint that I'm snapping to. So it's a handy way to look at the snapping points and make sure that you're snapping to the correct data and the correct point names when you're working with a lot of information. Next to that we've got our project name, and then we've got next to the project name the full path of that project name. So if you want to go and copy that project, have a look at the project in your Windows Explorer, this is the exact path where you'll be able to find that project. So that covers the basic layout of the screen and all of the functions and menus regarding that. Now the only thing that gets added is when we calculate, if I go to single join, it opens up the calculation pad on the right hand side. Now all the functions, if I open up my join function, you'll see it over there, and if I open an intersection function, you'll also see it in there. And then at the bottom it'll open a tab for each function that's active. So I can go to my single join function while I've got my polos open and while I've got my intersection function open. You don't have to close a function to open another one. So let's use the single join just to demonstrate. I'll put it onto DTM snap mode, and I'll tell the program by clicking in this first input box that I want to start by sending information to that box. Now I can click on the first point, click on the second point, and I say calculate to give me the join information. And I can click on the first point, second point again, calculate, and it gives me the second join. You'll also see if we go to the results screen that the last two joins we did have now been added to our results screen. So as we're calculating sequentially, all of the calculation results will be added to the screen. Back to the graphics screen, I can now also go hide this calculation pad by clicking on the arrow pointing right, and it will hide the calculation pad without closing the functions I was busy with. To recall it, you just touch the right hand side of the screen with the mouse and it recalls the calculation pad, and you can continue calculating. To close the calculation pad, the cross at the bottom will close each single function, and you just keep on pressing it until all of the functions are closed and the calculation pad will then be hidden. So that covers the layout of SurveyMaker and then also the basics on the calculation pad. And I hope that this tutorial helped you to be a little bit more familiar with the program. visit our channel on YouTube for more information, or go to our forum at forum.modelmaker.co.za for discussions on ServerMaker and also the rest of our software.